Peckforton station is around halfway down the line from Beeston Market to Peckforton. In my imaginary history, it has become a thriving community, with the sawmill being the principal industry. The sawmill, plus general merchandise, provides plenty of traffic for Peckforton Light Railway. However, it hasn't always been like this. When I first constructed the railway, the area now taken up by Peckforton Station was a flower bed. It wasn't until I identified a real location for my railway that Peckforton had to come into being. Beyond the station, the access gap for the patio was spanned by little more than a hinged plank. It remained like this for a couple of years, before my first, rather abortive attempt at building a viaduct filled the space. We'll come back to this later. A little further along, we encounter the River Gowie. At this early stage, there is no watermill and no siding to serve it. And then, during the Christmas holiday period of 2008, I decided to get started on Peckforton Station. The track was lifted and more concrete breeze blocks were dug into the soil. They were bedded down and gaps filled with concrete. The new cement needed to be protected from a couple of hard frosts, but undeterred I pressed on. While the family sat around the fire, finishing off leftover turkey, mince pies and Christmas pudding, I was laying track. The first train ran into the station on Boxing Day. A platform cast in concrete was added, as was a station building and some fencing. The track was ballasted, and goods trains busily shunted wagons into and out from the single goods siding, or the sawmill siding. The station yard was cramped, but it was serviceable. And so the station layout remained for the next 7.5 years. Over this period, the track beyond the station remained almost unaltered. The tatty viaduct got even tattier. While the foliage beside the track and the river grew fairly rampantly. I quite liked the slightly overgrown nature of the scenery. It fitted my vision of a sadly neglected railway just about surviving the rigours of the Great Depression. But all this while I had plans, which were slowly hatching and being nurtured into fruition. Although there was never a watermill at Peckforton, there was a water-powered gristmill at Buckley. Clearly on my railway, it made sense to site it beside the stream between Peckforton and Buckley, just outside Peckforton. By now, this area was even more overgrown. The area was cleared of plant life, and a breeze block track foundation laid. A point was added to the main line, and track laid for the siding to eventually serve the mill. A replica of the wooden trestle bridge, which once spanned the River Blythe at Wenneston on the Southwold Railway, was constructed from hardwood. The siding was now complete, though it took another 3 years for the watermill building to actually appear. But more of that later. In 2014, I finally got around to replacing the original tatty viaduct, just outside Peckforton, with something a little more elegant. As previously, the main structure was plywood, as I wanted to keep it light and removable. The sandstone blocks were made from individually shaped and textured balsa wood facing slips. Each of these 1,000 blocks was applied separately until both sides were covered. We have now reached 2016, and I decided it was time to enlarge the goods facilities at Peckforton Station to accommodate a more realistic set of sidings for the sawmill and permit the use of larger radius pointwork. As you can see, the station area was very cramped, and so the track was lifted, as were the breeze blocks from the affected area, and a new sandstone retaining wall constructed, giving a lot more space, especially to the site of the sawmill. More breeze blocks were laid down and concreted in, and then the track was laid. I chose spring for this work this time. No more sub-zero temperatures for me. The station now felt and looked less hemmed in. there was now plenty of room for a decent representation of a sawmill to be constructed. Things were looking up. The following year, I finally got around to building the watermill. Constructed mostly from foam board, it is based on a generic design which seems to have been used for watermills in this area. There are at least 5 mills of this design on the River Gowie within a 10-mile radius of Peckforton. And then finally, in 2018, the sawmill itself was completed. It isn't based on any particular design, but ideas were drawn from several sources. Inevitably, it is constructed mostly from wood, stripwood and coffee stirrers. Although they can't really be seen, the roof is supported by accurately constructed Belfast trusses. As the building has an open design, I wanted to detail the interior as much as possible. The horizontal steam engine was bashed from an Airfix beam engine kit, and all the machinery is laid out as it would be in a real sawmill. I decided against making it all functional, far too fiddly, and it would have been a nightmare to maintain. The gantry crane is as accurate as I could manage, based on photos of various prototypes. I do like my models to look plausible, even if they don't actually work. And so, the sawmill now provides a focal point for the station. It keeps the copper mine well supplied with pit props, and local builders with plenty of sawn timber. And so, here is what Peckforton and its environs look like as of summer 2022. Most of the infrastructure is now in place, though, inevitably, there is still more tweaking and tinkering which could be done. But for now, I am content.